What's happening?
Hello.
It's your boys JuJu and Alec, and we're back with another Flavorcast that took way too long to make and do.
We're just making them when we make them, you know? Do you have a timeline? I don't have a timeline. We're not making like a season tracker for content to release, are we?
Not yet, unless you want us to. I mean, if you guys want Patreon, I could do that. I could use money for food, and please, I need help.
You know, I learned that a percentage of our viewers are subscribed.
But a very small percentage of people that watch our videos are not subscribed. Would you look at that?
You know, I was honestly impressed to see there's a 25% there. You know, I love to see viewers. We love you. Don't get me wrong, but you know, it's always I'm always impressed when someone isn't subscribed watching us. Like, wait, how did you get here?
Yeah. What poor decision making in the YouTube algorithm brought you to us?
No, come on. It's good decision making. You know, the more you come watch us, the more we might have enough energy to put some content together.
Hell yeah, and new content you shall have, as with this one. Now, how about some news that you may or may not care about?
I do love caring a lot about news, let me tell you. I am actively watching news every single day of every single minute. And it is definitely current events and not gaming, because I am an adult. I care about the world more than I care about hearing what game is coming out. But bro, hook me up.
My gaming news is fair and balanced.
What's unbiased? I ain't never heard about it.
I don't know, left leaning, right leaning, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Gaming leaning. Xbox may let advertisers insert ads in their new games.
He also wrote quotations UFC 4. First off, what does you even mean? Second, what,
Ultimate Fighter, baby.
Advertisements in a sport game? What are you talking about? I didn't even know they did advertisements in actual sports.
As you can see, EA, things like that, they've already done some stuff like this, so we're not really confused or surprised by this kind of news, but like I guess they're trying to say that more games might do it, other than, you know, sports games like FIFA and whatnot.
Personally, I don't see a real issue with advertisements in games. You know, if it's the money he's giving, if it's a way for a studio to get money to create the game they're trying to create. Look at Death Stranding, for example. They went real deep in the Monster Energy jokes. But I mean, it helped Hideo Kojima create a studio and sell a brand new game that's in his vision. Although he had to go and create a whole new genre essentially to justify a walking simulator. Whatever. If it's what you gotta do, it's what you gotta do. But sports games, on the other hand, you know, I'm cool with them having advertisements because it's more of lifelike in that sense. But goddamn, can you make a good game?
I mean, you know, little column A, little column B. So the Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel is going to be delayed to spring 2023, as you may have heard. You know, I don't feel bad about that, if I'm being honest. I want this game to be nice. I want this game to be bigger and better than the last game, because I love Breath of the Wild. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Zelda, but it's a solid Zelda regardless, and wouldn't you want it to have as much time as it possibly could to be, like, great? Like, what is this, a Sonic game? You want that to just come out immediately and just fucking suck?
Well, hey, sometimes those fast-release Sonic games are a gem years down the road. But, you know, what I loved about hearing this announcement is that now we don't have to contend with Elden Ring for Game of the Year. Elden Ring's gonna just sweep that shit, no problem.
Easy money.
I do gotta say, though, the more I hear about not Elden Ring, sorry, yeah, we'll get to there, but the more I hear about Breath of the Wild delays for the sequel, the more I'm honestly disappointed, because Breath of the Wild really hit a lot of notes for me that struck me of Ocarina of Time, you know, that open world, incredible experience. Like, although there's a lot of like hidden things, I can talk more about my experiences with Ocarina of Time and Elden Ring when we get to there, but what disappoints me is how long it's taken them to release this sequel. Because when you look at Ocarina of Time, and then you look at Majora's Mask, an incredible sequel that came out within the year of the Ocarina of Time's release. Wasn't it a year, or was it 18 months?
Shoot, I don't
it's
know.
Either a year or 18 months. It's one of those time frames, but they use so many assets, and it looks like this game's going to be using a lot of assets from the Breath of the Wild, which just makes you wonder what's taking so long. Yeah, COVID and things like that, but Elden Ring just came out. I almost can't excuse studios struggling to, like AAA studios like Nintendo, struggling to release a game when Elden Ring took 4 years to develop, and that game, I honestly think it's going to be top 5 of the decade with how good it is.
Oh, I agree. Nintendo's just kind of weird, though. So things that make sense for other studios I don't think apply to Nintendo.
Ain't that the truth?
It doesn't exactly work. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. They just don't do things correctly. No offense, but like hella offense, Nintendo. Like,
well, they are so different. Whereas they don't release something for a long time, but then when they finally do release it, it's a banger. I'm hearing nothing but great things about the new Kirby game. You look at Mario and Bowser's Fury. That game is amazing, and it's almost just a tech demo for how short it is. But like, it is incredible. So you're right. Nintendo doesn't make sense with anything they develop. But goddamn, when they do it.
I mean, like when. Sitting there thinking about the new like N64 bundle and I guess the Sega Genesis bundle for like an extra, what is it, $80 a year for the family plan, I was like, man, Nintendo, really? And then like, yeah, the Ocarina of Time Switch release emulator was just trash. And even after many patches, it's still not quite as good. There's hella lag.
Yeah, I've heard there's tons of input lag.
It's serious. Even when you're playing by yourself, it's kind of a problem. No, for some reason they got Majora's Mask to be pretty damn good, But then you have things like, okay, why wasn't this out beforehand? How come we're having issues with the emulation of Super Mario 64, even though they just released that bundled with Sunshine and Galaxy emulators? How come...
At $60.
Literally, like, what's going on here? And they were like, oh, it's limited release. That was a fucking lie. So, it just doesn't make sense. How come I have to get a friend's friend code to, like, do anything online? How come, for most games online, I gotta use the damn, like, phone app to talk to people?
Yeah.
I'm just using Discord, bro. Like, just do that.
That phone app is pretty ass. I remember using it once to play Splatoon 2 with a couple buddies, and we just were dying at how horrible it was.
Man, if Nintendo keeps doing this kind of shit, I swear to God, they cross me 3 or 4 more times, I might get a little bit aggravated.
Don't lie to me. You're gonna keep putting up with their bullshit real into your 40s.
Yeah, we are, we have a toxic relationship, Nintendo and I.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, I don't know how to quit you. So there's talk of a new and improved chip for the Xbox Series X being produced at some point in the future. Now, we don't know whether or not it's going to perform that much better, but it's supposed to be more streamlined so that they can produce more of them in an easier way and a cheaper way. So that sounds fun.
Yeah, as as the local Xbox fiend of the game flavor community, I've owned the original Xbox, the Xbox One, the Xbox One S. The Xbox One, their S variant, their X variant, and now I'm an owner of the Series X. I can say per console upgrade I have seen a decent upgrade, but going from the Xbox One X to the Xbox Series X, wow. I do truly think the Xbox Series X might be my favorite console of all time, solely for the fact of extremely quick load times. The quick resume feature is one of my favorite things of any game console I've ever had because I'm able to bounce between games that I've used all the time. It is used every single day in my house. I use it more than any console I've ever used in my life. And I love it. I think it's quick. I can unplug it, move it into my office whenever I want to run some games in here or record something, and it boots up in a second. It truly baffles me how much we've gone from just the last generation to this generation with speed, and I am gonna be floored when these consoles release their same power version but smaller. When that comes, because we all think about like PlayStation 2 and how big and bulky that thing was, and then we had the PlayStation 2 Slim, which was like as big as my hand. Like the PS5 is as big as your torso, and then whenever they find the slim version of that, the thing is going to be freaking nuts.
It's gonna be hot.
Yeah,
sleek.
So I love hearing that they're finding new ways to get around all these chip issues, because that has been the biggest like talking point of 2020 of like, I want to buy something but I can't. Even like automobiles are still struggling with that issue. But I do love to hear that companies are going to be making ways to dodge that. Especially Microsoft. You can't tell me Microsoft doesn't have the money. How much did they just what did they just buy? They bought Activision for the like 80 billion? I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was a B, and it was the biggest acquisition in gaming of all time. And
absolutely.
I like what Microsoft is doing, and I also like that even though they bought Activision, they're like, we're not going to take these away from Sony. Like, they just want to have more of what they can call their own. But you know what? It's always a good idea to buy a company when they're currently going through the big scandal of their career. at the most expensive price ever.
Big money moves.
Big money moves.
You gotta be bold out here if you want to be relevant.
Yes. And my last note I want to leave on that is, if you didn't know this, if you open up an Xbox One, if you open an Xbox One X, it's got a Master Chief Warthog, or a Halo Warthog on there, I believe, and then on the Series X, it's got the Master Chief helmet, I think,
Nice.
on the processor. I'm pretty sure. I'm not exactly sure. I know it's got Halo references. It's neat.
That's a nice touch. Next up, we have No More Heroes 3 will be coming to all consoles this fall, which, sounds good to me. I was interested in it, but then I was like, oh, just the Switch, huh? Like, I love my Switch, but I do not buy that many games for the Switch. Like, only really things that, like Monster Hunter Rise, like, whatever, sure. Xenoblade Chronicles, whatever I need to do to play a Switch game, I guess I'll do it. But, like, something like No More Heroes, I was like, I'm looking for more games for my PS5,
Well, that's because you got a PS5 and you want to spend $70 a game.
Yeah, 100%.
But when I'm thinking about No More Heroes, I laugh looking back at the Wii days when it was the motion control gimmicks of, like, you want to use your sword, jerk off, baby. Like, I think that's so funny. I've always wanted to try No More Heroes. I just never have gotten to it. But hearing that it's coming to all consoles, like I've said before, I'm a big Xbox fiend. I love any game that I can quickly access. If it ends up on Game Pass, I'll definitely give it a try. But, it's been on that background of, like, if I'm going to ever grow my repertoire of games, if I'm at a game store and I see a used No More Heroes, I'm probably going to pick it up.
You might as well. I mean, I actually haven't played any of the No More Heroes series. I do have a friend who is willing to let me borrow all of them, but I'm like, I have so many things on the back burner. Still gotta beat Elden Ring. I really haven't put anything into that.
If you try to beat Elden Ring, you have to know that you won't be playing any other games for a while. I had to stop playing Elden Ring to get back on my Apex grind.
The Apex grind is important, and I like to switch between, like, at least one multiplayer game and then one single-player game. But I have, like, multiple multiplayer games under my belt right now that everyone wants to play, and I'm like, I'm trying to, like, balance that with, like, D&D and work, and I guess sleep and eating sometimes. That's important, too. Yeah.
Elden Ring is all about forgetting to eat, let me tell you.
Oh, man, that first sit-down, I just lost everything. Now for a game that I don't care about. Cyberpunk 2077 has surpassed 18 million copies sold, so that's pretty cool.
I love hearing this. So I am in the boat of Cyberpunk 2077 is a good game. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but also remember this. I love broken games. I have a lot of fun with a game that is, like, barely held together by spit and duct tape. Like, I remember playing early Fallout New Vegas, and you just walk somewhere and just everything just flies against the wall for no reason, and you're like, wow, I'm gonna steal that. So, like, I love a game that just is barely working, because you just don't know what you're gonna get. And Cyberpunk 2077, my playthrough of that game before any of the big patches came out, I played that on the Xbox One X, which people, if you remember, said that old generation consoles really struggled with Cyberpunk on release. Thankfully, I had a strong one, so it didn't give me much issues, but I truly loved my experience. I put 100 hours into that game on that console, and then have started another playthrough and put at least 10 hours on my Series X. I run into problems all the time, and yeah, it breaks immersion, but when you go in with the mindset of, who knows what the fuck I'm gonna see today, it is so much fun. And I also am a person who enjoys breaking a game, like pushing it to the point where, oh, what are you gonna do when I do this? What are you gonna do when I pile up 15 cars and throw grenades at it? What are you gonna do, game? And to see it just straight panic, comedy.
How do you feel about Sonic 06 then?
That's one I've never... I played co-op on it once, and it was infuriating because it's a platformer that's broken.
Yeah.
A broken platformer with death pits, you just can't do anything about that. Cyberpunk doesn't have death pits. Cyberpunk has, I want to drive my car really fast. Wait, where did that spawn? Why am I flipping? Oh, I hit a building. I'm under the map. Oh, I'm dead. What? Like, that's hilarious. You just don't expect that at all. But when you're, like, trying to just cross a gap, but then Silver's levitation doesn't want to work or talk to you, and you just keep falling in the same hole, no, Sonic 06 is really frustrating.
To be fair, there is, and fun fact for everybody that doesn't know, somebody who reportedly has never really played, like really sat down and played Sonic 06, saw Sonic 06 and said, what the hell is this? And then decided to create a mod that basically makes it not shit. It's called Project 06. It's currently still being worked on. Right now, you can download up into being able to do all the trial acts for Sonic and Shadow, and my god, is it like night and day.
Really?
It's actually fun. The physics work. It's not cheap. Like, oh my god, it's really good. And it looks amazing. So if your computer can run it, I would say go look that up. And if you want to try it out for yourself, again, at the point of this recording, it is not finished yet, but still worth a look.
And one thing about Sonic 06 that I want to tie back into Cyberpunk is that game got panned a lot for its loading screens. Oh, let's have a character conversation. Loading screen. Okay, now you're back in the open world. Go to the store. Loading screen. Yeah. There's a lot of loading screens. In Cyberpunk, yeah, the game was a broken piece of shit, but when it loaded, it was ready to go. It's just like when you play GTA. You load in, you have to wait forever to boot up, but when it's going, it's going. Cyberpunk was very much the same experience for me, and I passionately will hold my first playthrough of that broken-ass game in my heart.
Fair enough. Speaking of games that at least started out broken, so No Man's Sky, right? We all remember that. We all remember the hassle that was its entire experience. Well, Hello Games, the creators, they're talking about a next project, right? In the future. We don't know when. But they don't want to make a sequel to No Man's Sky. And honestly, I understand that.
Well, whatever they're going to do next, I don't think they should ever have, what was that guy's name, Murray something?
Yeah.
At the front talking about the games at all, unless they want to just risk it again.
No, they should hire a spokesperson. They just never had that. So they didn't have the money for that. So I think his name is John Murray or something.
Something like that.
And he just, he's an introvert, man.
Yeah, he's excited.
And also
he wanted to have stuff. He
wasn't allowed to say anything. He was under an NDA. So people would ask him straight up forward questions like, hey, does this game have that? And he goes, well, I mean when you're sending out vague tweets, right, like, hey, don't go into this looking for a multiplayer experience. When people ask you for, is it multiplayer, and your answer isn't directly no, don't look for a multiplayer experience, I feel like you have a problem.
Your answer should have just been no, bro.
Yeah. But he wasn't allowed to say that, I'm assuming. I
don't know how you're not allowed to say no.
It's still in development, I guess, and NDA.
Sign this NDA, don't say anything. Just be vague for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Your wife asks you if you want to have sex. I'm not so sure about that. I signed a document.
Do you want to have sex with me? Honey, I want to have sex. With me? Yeah, sex is great. But with me, though, I enjoy sex.
I sure do enjoy sex. You might find me in the bedroom later.
You might. I know you're looking for a sex with me experience, but don't go into this looking for a sex with me experience.
Expecting me to be there for the sex.
Shit like that, So whatever they go for, I hope it's not a fucking debacle like No Man's Sky was. Honestly, otherwise, or it could be. I would love to watch another internet historian on that.
Yeah, his breakdown of what happened for No Man's Sky was pretty great. I remember seeing the first playthrough of No Man's Sky, and I went over to my buddy's place. He was super stoked for it, and he's like, yeah, this is the gameplay. And it says, time traveling to this planet, 13 minutes. And I was like, yeah, bro, looks great.
Delicious.
I don't know why the hell they didn't put Joe Danger as, the loading screen thing to play while you're waiting for that.
Imagine. That was just their way of putting in Joe Danger 4. Hell yeah, baby.
Only playable in No Man's Sky.
Man, that was a lot of news. But I guess our main topics, we're going to be talking about a few things. First of all, I'm probably going to be the main one talking about these first two things. But the first thing, let's talk about Sonic 2. No spoilers.
Yeah, that's going to be all you, homie. I wish I took the time to go see that movie, but the only movie I just saw was Batman. That was a lot of fun.
The Batman was really good. Up until, for me, I fell off at the last 60 minutes. It was just so long. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, damn, Batman really hasn't wrapped this up yet.
I enjoyed the length, but what I will say, it was a jarring start. My theater didn't even realize the movie had started when it started, because it was like the Batman, and you're like, wait, what?
Oh, you mean the Riddler, or as I've been calling him, the Redditor?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I loved all that, detective shit and whatnot. So I like how they focused a lot on Batman, and that's a thing you can bring into Sonic 2, is that, like, in comparison to the first one, they focused a lot more on the character you came to fucking see, Sonic, versus
the guy in the title.
Yeah, turns out the titular character, because in the first one, I know you haven't seen the first one, but and for those of you who have seen it, y'all know that this was basically a tired plot from the 90s. Where,
isn't it a buddy cop movie?
It's sort of. It's like a buddy road trip movie.
Even better.
With, one person's a human and the other person's a CGI talking animal.
Yeah, I was going to say, who sleeps with the animal?
Sonic is a child. Confirmed child, and he acts like that and whatnot.
Yikes.
Ben Schwartz does a great job.
Comment rejected.
He's the only, honestly, I'm blanking on everyone else's names except for Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey.
I was gonna say, you're gonna blink on Jim Carrey?
No, absolutely
That's
not.
quite the mustache he got in that one.
Kind of carries the movie. Him and Sonic carry the movie, which, as you would expect for Sonic 1 and 2, this one was more like, okay, here's how I felt when I was watching it. I went there by myself, by the way. Just watched the movie by myself because I'm a strong, independent black man who don't need no one to go to the movies
Did you get
with me.
sneaked down by a kid while you were there?
Nah, they were all the other side of the of the theater.
Wait, you're telling me this theater was segregated?
I went on a Tuesday at like 7. Like, no one was there except one family who decided to bring their tiny infant. I'm like, how dare you?
What babies love Sonic?
And they let their kid run around the theater. I shit you not.
Oh my god.
I was like zeroed in, though. I'm like, you're not ruining this for me.
But was the kid as fast as Sonic?
Not even close.
Knuckles?
Speed up. No.
Oh god.
Speed up, scrub.
Oh my god.
You're never gonna be a true Sonic fan if you can't go fast. Speed.
What's your best mile time? It's not even said they want to talk to you.
I don't even want to talk to you.
Don't even want to breathe the same air you breathe.
Well, the movie was like A-plot Sonic shenanigans. And, you got Tails and then, Dr. Eggman and Knuckles and shit.
But did Tails have an airplane that not only transformed twice, but also transformed into a mech?
We'll get to that.
Okay, well, you're gonna need to see this movie.
So, like, B-plot, though, is the humans. Which, as they call him in the first movie, Donut Lord, his,
Donut Lord?
Yeah. Soon-to-be wife, I guess? I don't know what their relationship is. I forgot. They're not who I came to see.
What is her name, Donut Hole?
Oh, ooh. I honestly forgot. But, then you have the wife or girlfriend's sister who's getting married for this. They're in Hawaii.
No, she's the Donut Hole.
She might be. And then there's that one black guy from, CSI, I believe.
Ice-T?
Or is it Bones? No.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of what am I thinking?
I don't know, but he's in the movie. I was like, that's a weird play, a weird casting.
I'm still trying to think of what's that show that if you can only watch for like 2 minutes, or you can only watch like 2 episodes before you start feeling really dirty, because it's always about like people who get raped or like really murdered.
Law and Order.
Law and Order, that's what it is, yes. You cannot watch that show for longer than 10 minutes without starting like feeling gross.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like this man like murdered this woman and he just like came all over the place. Directed by Dick Wolf. Like
30 years, baby.
30 years. Still the king.
New York dirty.
But yeah, they're just I guess Sonic like lets them use one of his like teleportation like rings because he can do that.
He can just teleport?
Yeah, he has rings, right? And
that's how he gets to every level.
Yeah, exactly. So he just gives them like 2.
Was it like
he opens one and they go to Hawaii where the wedding's at, and he's like, "Here's another one. Here you go to come back." Now we have subplot where they're just at the fucking wedding.
So I gotta ask, when he teleports, is it like a pocket ring, or is it like come here to end the stage size ring, like middle of the parking lot spinning? Like this is where I teleport.
It's a park. No, it's not. It's not that. It's a small ring that can fit in your pocket. But if you think the canon is, if you think about where you want to go, like have an image in your head and you throw it, it then expands into like a portal, interdimensional portal.
Ah.
You can use this to go to different planets.
Does Sonic have pockets?
He has a satchel given to him by his mom.
I'll allow it.
He gets a mom.
He has a mom?
But it's not a hedgehog. It's a
I don't allow it.
Oddly like there's Sonic and then there's like photorealistic owl mom named Longclaw.
Is he adopted?
Very much so.
Okay, so they admit the adoption. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
I don't think we should be trying to have like cross mammal sex here to describe why our blue hedgehog, first off blue, is phased.
He's got the ultimate power, quote unquote, I guess. it gives him his speed.
His sped.
When he goes super fast, his eyes turn blue.
I heard if you get struck by lightning, you can go pretty fast.
Oh shit!
Into the grave.
Is that what happened to the Flash?
I'm pretty sure his mom died, and he was like, "Well, now I'm fast."
Now I'm fast. He wanted to speed run the rest of his life. I got nothing left to live for, bro.
Zoom.
Well, basically, I think people, if you like the first one, you should go watch the second one. I think it's better. Again, it's a Sonic movie, so, take that with a grain of salt. But, like, Jim Carrey, I'm pretty sure they just, like, turned the camera on and they said, alright, just go, bro.
They turn the camera on, slap his face with a mustache, and say, go get it, chief.
Yeah. And it's sad to think that this actually might be Jim Carrey's final movie.
As long as the man can, like, stop taking interviews while high as fuck and, like, get his life right, that's fine.
No. I don't want that.
You like those interviews?
I love those interviews.
Those interviews are wild.
I know. That's why I love them. I love that for him.
He's like bug-eyed in the woman's face, like, yeah, I was in the woods.
I want Jim Carrey to be in Sonic 3, which they did absolutely tease. No spoilers on that, but there are interesting things, like lore-related things, not just little references to, oh, hell, wow, his ringtone is the Sonic Green Hill Zone theme. No, like, Gun shows up in this, bro.
Gun shows up?
Gun is in this shit.
What
canon.
the
They are
fuck?
canon. The Master Emerald is a thing.
Cool.
Idris Elba.
You can't have Idris Elba as Knuckles without the Master Emerald, though.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Knuckles is only ever involved if the Master Emerald is involved, and it's usually for either they broke it, or he just said, you know what, maybe not today.
A lot of people are gonna, like, not super like Knuckles a whole bunch. Either you like him or you love him.
Does
He's Drax.
I'm not going to use this joke for the podcast. I've decided to stop myself.
Well, now I want to know.
Well, I'll tell you the joke, but like...
I can always edit around
Does
it.
Knuckles say the N-word?
Knuckles does not, in fact, say the
Damn
N-word.
it! Wasted on Idris Elba.
All I can say is that he's just... If you remember Guardians of the Galaxy 1, or just any of them, I guess, he's just Drax.
He's just Drax.
But that's fun.
Yeah.
It's not original, but it's fun.
It's as long as he's a good time and not, like, dampening the movie every time he's on the screen.
Exactly. And Tails is a huge simp for Sonic. Turns out he's been, like, spying on him for, like, the longest time.
I mean, did you ever watch the old, like, 90s Sonic cartoons? Like, the 90s...
Oh,
yeah. I think they were in the 90s. Yeah, he's a simp for Sonic in those, too.
Huge simp.
Super simp. So much so that when he's like, I've got parents now, Sonic, bye. Sonic's like, damn, my life's kind of rough without my simp. I'm gonna go check on him. And he's like, oh, your parents are robots.
No, my favorite... Okay, so, like, you mentioned the airplane, right? The tornado. Kind of shitty what they did with this. So, like... Again, bringing it back to the B plot.
Hawaii.
Turns out the wedding that was happening, things go awry. No spoilers, but the husband bought one of those airplanes that has like the message on the back as it flies past. It's like, oh, happy marriage, blah blah blah, shit like that. It's red and it's a biplane. I was like,
There it is.
there it is, the tornado, and Tails like hijacks that basically
Nice.
off screen, and now it's the tornado, and he just has the ability to just rig shit. He's like MacGyvering shit all the time.
Good.
So
That's my kind of tale. So you're telling me next movie he's gonna have himself a Chaos Emerald. He's gonna be doing some shenanigans with
I
Tornado.
think so.
All
I
right.
think so.
Looking forward to it. Maybe I need to get off my ass.
Yeah, no, go see that movie. Watch one first. Go see the next one.
Wait, you telling me I shouldn't go see 2 then 1?
I'm telling you, you'll have a bad time.
You know, I've seen Star Wars, and that was 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, but do you want like 90s romp, like buddy like road trip movie, and then action-packed movie with a little side... Like, why do the side characters actually... At first I was like, why are they here? Why are we here in Hawaii? And then they actually get better stunts than a lot of, like, the main shit in the beginning. Like, I'm like, whoa, hold up, what? How come the bride is doing all this cool shit? What the fuck? Why
Tell me
is
the
she
bride's
now
like doing backflips?
Yeah, she becomes like Bridezilla and shit, doing some crazy shit.
Gnarly.
It's fun. It's super fun. Go watch it. So enough simping about that. So I guess the next thing that I wanted to bring up was Kingdom Hearts 4.
You wanted to talk about Kingdom Hearts 4? That's
Yeah.
also your wheelhouse more than me. Let me tell you this. So, when I first saw Kingdom Hearts 4 get announced, it got dropped in my Apex chat. And I was like, you know what? let me watch this trailer, because I don't believe they would actually be talking anything new Kingdom Hearts this fast. And I'm watching the trailer, I'm kind of skeptical. It looks a lot like just Unreal 5 with some Unreal 5 assets, because, they just got, like, their asset pool you can use. And I'm just like, I feel like anyone could throw together a weeby kind of Sora if they work hard enough. And I was like, okay, first off, why are these man's toes out? Second off, just like, what's going on here? What's going on?
Rip his big shoes.
Yeah, and it starts going, like, the story starts moving along, and it starts showing the city. I'm like, I could still call it just a fan project. I still could. Yeah. And then shit starts going down. The shadow guy shows up, and I'm like, it looks cool. It's still maybe a fan project. And then Sora starts running across the road. I was like, okay, this looks pretty good. And he calls up the Keyblade. I was like, all right. I don't know if a fan could throw that together. That was pretty gnarly. And then he starts doing like the Mega Drill shit and like all that. I was like, okay. Kingdom Hearts 4?
Kingdom Hearts 4, baby! So apparently that was released, or not released, but like announced with 2 other Kingdom Hearts things, right? So you got yet another chapter for the phone game that I didn't play, but apparently has like things you need to know.
I've heard there's tons of lore.
Yeah.
And isn't it the final chapter now that's coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final chapter. There's so much important lore. Lore that you will be literally confused about before playing Kingdom Hearts 3 if you didn't play that. I did not. I read the wiki. And then, there's another phone game coming out that's like more 3D like, but it looks like it's in Unreal Engine, but we both know that can't be a thing. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of looks to like emulate it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe the footage they gave us isn't exactly like a 1-to-1 how it's going to actually be. So I was like, okay, so this weird Kingdom Hearts 4 release of the trailer, the teaser trailer, to me, I was like, okay, so this is just fucking real. At first, I was like, oh, this is, what the fuck is this? Like, this is like maybe a Final Fantasy type thing, and like, what's going on? But then I was like, oh, Kingdom Hearts announcement. Kingdom Hearts 4, which explains the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3, no spoilers. But, Sora's in a different place right now. Why does he look different? But then, Donald and Goofy, I can't wait for them to show up and to be like photorealistic.
Photorealistic standing dog and duck. Yes. They did specifically say that the reason Sora doesn't have his clown shoes here is because he is in the Quadrum world, or whatever the hell it's called.
Right.
It was like Quadrum, something like that.
Some shit.
And so that essentially, he's just in another Kingdom Hearts world. It's just like you select in the game, like, oh, I'm going to the Pirates of the Caribbean world, things like that. So he's just there. So he will get a totally different look when he's out. So we don't even have the confirmed final look for Sora right now.
We don't.
And I think he looks pretty freaking neat in this one. But also, how old is this guy now?
He's like 15, 16.
How are you 15 going through all this shit? 20 years of games and you're still like a preteen.
He's got a lot of trauma.
Don't even have a driver's license looking ass.
No, dead ass.
You ever seen a DMV? I ain't seen the DMV, but I've seen the end of the world, and I can tell you the DMV is worse.
It's funny enough, none of the main characters are old enough to like really drive, and like Riku's current Keyblade looks like a fucking car key, which is funny to me.
Does it like flick out? This is my Mercedes Benz.
Oh, it's just like the like silver flat, like kind of thick boy, and then the back part is like black.
But is it like is there like no grip, so he has to like put his whole, he has to hug it to hold it?
That would be pretty funny.
Calls it in. Has to grab it with both hands.
I'll have to show you what it looks like. It's so dumb. It's so fucking stupid. But I'm looking at this design for Sora, and it's like, okay, y'all just really want to do like Final Fantasy-esque shit. And like, I know if you play Kingdom Hearts 3 all the way through, including the DLC, this will make sense about why he's there and what's going on. And I know it was been announced a while ago that they're like, okay, no, there will be more Kingdom Hearts. Sora will return. But it will no longer be about Xehanort. Like, that's over and done with.
Wait, so the Xehanort story wraps up in 3?
Yes.
Okay. I gotta read that.
Rather anticlimactically, gotta say.
Phenomenal. Wait 20 years.
Yeah, dead ass. And then, now, I guess, wherever they're doing, I guess it's gonna be about Sora getting out, because that's kind of what the DLC for 3 was just trying to figure out where the hell he is, and they find out that they don't know.
I love paying money for that.
But dramatic irony, we know where he is, just not where it is, like what this place is.
Let me tell you, when you get the world map, you can just click it. It's probably right there.
Turns out.
Turns out someone didn't develop the map yet.
Yeah, no, So I'm interested in it. I was hoping for like I guess they weren't going to change the engine, right? But for me, 3 was a little too floaty of combat. I personally think 2's combat.
2 is
beautiful.
God, pre-memories of how good 2 was.
So fucking good. Not even close. I want Kingdom Hearts 3 and I wanted 3 to be 2's like main mode of combat and whatnot. Instead, it's more Birth by Sleep, so pretty floaty. But there's so many options for combat that I like. So if you could take the options of 3 with the combat of 2 and put it in 4, that would be amazing.
You know, I really hope with 4 that they figure out what to do with the pacing of the game. Because for me, the reason I didn't get into 3 was because it gives you such a disgusting taste in your mouth for that first couple hours. That it's just like, why would I even bother? Like, is it going to get better, or am I going to get another pop-up in 20 seconds? Like, Jesus. Or the opening experience of 3 reminded me of like a early 2010s game of like, hey, look at all these things happening around you, but you can only go in this straight direction, and now you're in a sliding scene. Ooh, look how cool this is. You're going left and right. Oh! And it just did not do anything for me. And when Maggie and I just tried to play, we just didn't get into it. And we put it down, it's downloaded, and will probably never get touched.
It is a slow burn in the beginning. I will give you that.
But that's JRPGs, and I feel like I've just gotten so burnt out on JRPGs that I've become such a shooter guy.
Fair enough.
And then here I am waiting to talk about Elden Ring.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. That's all I want to really talk about with Kingdom Hearts 4. Like, the fact that we have an announcement so soon, and that I guess we're moving on to, you know, I'm not going to say bigger and better things, we don't know. But, like, the Xehanort saga, that's over and done with. Don't know what this saga's going to be about, but it kind of pains me that in order to, like, get more context for what's going on, you have to completely beat a goddamn rhythm action game.
Yeah. So, here's my question for you as a longtime Kingdom Hearts fan. You've been playing these games since your childhood, because, I mean, yeah, they decided to really wait a long time before releasing 3.
Yeah.
Do you want Sora's story to continue at this point? Like, let me just compare it to Shenmue, another story that has yet to conclude, but has had a sequel past their sequel that was the one of like, oh, show us the ending, you're telling me we don't get the ending. Shenmue, at the end of Shenmue 2, you're about to get your revenge on the guy who kills your dad, then he beats the living shit out of you, and you're like, no, until Shenmue 3! Then you play Shenmue 3, you get all the way to him, he beats the living shit out of you, and they go, until Shenmue 4! Do you feel like Kingdom Hearts is doing that with how they didn't exactly wrap up everything in 3? And now that we know a 4th game's coming, are they going to build a whole new trilogy of games here? Or would you want this to just wrap up Sora so we can just move on to either new characters or even a new IP?
You know, I'm okay with continuing the game with Sora, or even just like maybe putting him as a side character in like a future game. But like all of the main issues we had to resolve kind of got resolved in Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just that we created an entirely new loose end by the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, which of course leaves it open for many other problems to happen. I don't know where it's going to go, especially with Disney, because they've become less and less relevant with Disney characters and Disney worlds and themes.
Which I find funny, because Disney has grown thicker and thicker and thicker in that time. Like, all of the IPs that Disney has at their disposal, and Kingdom Hearts is like, we just want to make a Final Fantasy game, bro.
Yeah, no, it has. So, like, you see a little bit of this kind of weird Final Fantasy shit happening in 3, and you're like, where are we going with this? But, and, like, one of the characters supposedly from the world that he's in is a super boss at the end of the DLC, who's actually a cheating motherfucker, by the way. I'm excited to see what else they have, planned, or what else they want to just think of. Just Sora beating up the darkness is all I need. Just good gameplay. I don't really care about all of the. It's not even really intricate. It's just a lot to remember. Storylines.
It is a lot to remember.
But we can take a lot of the shit that we've been building up for a lot of the games and throw that out. It's not relevant anymore. By the end of 3, we have resolved literally just about every single plot point regarding Organization 13, Xehanort, and all that shit. It's done. Now we have established that there's people, like the beginning of the whole Kingdom Hearts thing, like Keyblades in itself, the origin. We're focusing on that now. like people from like the past, which all show up in the cell phone games that I did not play, are relevant, and now they're becoming more relevant in this new thing. So I think that's what we're going to be focusing on. Like, there's this guy called the Master of Masters who seems prophetic, and like he can see the future, blah blah blah. He passed down the Keyblade that Xehanort has to this mysterious dude, and that dude gave it to Xehanort. Now that Xehanort's out of the picture, he's got the Keyblade now, I'm pretty sure. And now we're trying to figure out, shit like that. And there's this mysterious black box, and we don't know what's in it. And everyone's like, "What's in the damn box?" So
Chekhov's gun situation.
Yeah,
they're like, we don't know what's in the box either, but we need something out of the box.
Exactly.
We'll pull it out of the box.
Exactly. So you have a lot of potential for new shit that is only tangentially related to Xehanort, but he's out of the picture. So they could literally go anywhere and only somewhat have Disney shit in him, and I'll be okay.
Fair. Well, I just want to see how it's going to wrap up. I'll just get my story synopsis from you when it comes out.
Sounds good. Maybe I'll write the wiki. So when it comes to games, though, like, I thought Kingdom Hearts 3 was a tad too easy. I played it on Proud, without Critical Mode, that's a whole different...
Critical Mode's one hit, isn't it?
Pretty much.
That's there's hard mode, and then there's bullshit hard mode. And bullshit hard mode is for people like you and I who really enjoy a game's gameplay that we want to grind through. That's why, I did Last of Us Grounded. That's why I did the hardest difficulty on Resistance. It's because I enjoy that engine, and I want to get the most out of it. Yeah, fuck you. I can beat it without getting hit.
Exactly.
But if the game can't be hard without... The only way the game can be hard by putting in a one-tap mode, and the game is not balanced
it's not a very good thing. But how do you feel about people demanding that certain games just have in easy mode?
Well, you know me as a Souls player and a proprietor of many games. I truly do enjoy games that are confident enough to not put a difficulty setting in their game, because when you have a developer that creates a game that doesn't put a difficulty setting in there, it means that they created the pacing for the game for you to enjoy at a certain level. You can grind certain things. Like, let's just say, for example, Pokemon. Pokemon, everywhere you go in that game, Pokemon have different level caps, whereas you should be right around level 10 here, over here you should be right around level 20. And that's how the game keeps giving you the experience you need to keep moving on, and then also you constantly are feeling challenged. Or do you feel challenged in new Pokemon games? I haven't. But when people talk about the easy mode, obviously we're talking about Elden Ring here.
Right.
And Elden Ring being a game that I consider the most accessible Souls game released in the well over a decade of Souls games we've had. And there's so much to look at it and realize people who are screaming for an easy mode aren't doing enough to use the tools available to you. So, to give an example, I love Dark Souls. Dark Souls 1 is my favorite game of all time, probably. And the reason I love that game is because of the sense of exploration you have, and then also the amount of variety of options you have when you start the game. You can go in any direction and get items that are considered endgame, but if you know the route to it, you can get it right away. That's how I do my speedruns. But Elden Ring is so huge and enormous that to get those endgame things, you truly have to have a higher level of understanding the game. You've had to have beaten the game multiple times, and if you're brand new to it, you're just going to be lost in the world, and that is a good thing. Because if you're finding yourself running into a brick wall on one side, well, you didn't go down that path to your left. Why don't you go see what's going on over there instead? Maybe you'll find something that's more your pace.
Right.
Because the game is always rewarding you with new tools, new souls to level up, and new general abilities. And I feel anybody with any general sense of how to play a game in a 3D space can beat Elden Ring. And I personally love Elden Ring for the fact of everyone has a different story. Nobody I've talked to, I've been like, yeah, you and I have the exact same experience of going through that area. Because you, let's say for example, might have a faith build where you're shooting a bunch of lightning to kill stuff. This guy over here is using magic like crazy, and then everyone tells him he's not playing the game right. And then you've got another person who's going solo melee only, no shields. Like, wow. Good for you, bro. You're a fucking psycho. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna shield block all of this stuff. Because everyone has different ways to play the game. Like, even me, when I talk to my friends, they don't play with the crafting at all. They aren't using anything to, getting things to buff themselves up against certain types of abilities, change into talismans. I like to use all those resources available because clearly the developers had a plan when they put them out. And if you use all those things, holy crap, you can have a totally different experience.
Absolutely.
And even the beginning of the game, the moment you walk out the front door, you can go straight and run right into a guy who tells you you ain't got no bitches, and then you get beat up by a guy on a tree.
Not a one.
I'm sorry, he's not on a tree. He is the tree sentinel. And then you look at people like, I convinced my girlfriend Maggie to give it a try for an hour, and she goes a completely different route that I've never been to. And she crushes it, gets the whole way through, and gets her first bitch without even running into a death. And I'm like, I died 7 times before I found my first bitch. What you talking about?
Dead ass.
So like, it blows me away of the options available to you in that game. And every time I'm like, wow, I'm struggling, I just think, well, I know I haven't found enough stuff over here. What's going on over here? Then I lose 5 hours to exploring. So I think easy mode or difficulty settings in games are okay. Like, I love the Resistance games. And the reason I love them is because it's a difficult shooting game, a lot like Doom, for example. You have a wide plethora of guns to use, and if you're on easy mode, you can just sprint into these bad guys, wipe them up. But if you're on hard mode, you poke out a cover for a little too long, you're a corpse on the ground. Oh, yeah. But the satisfaction comes with having such a understanding of the maps and the combat areas you're going into, and then what tools at your disposal you have. You can pop out a cover, drop 17 bodies in that second, and then go back into cover like, reload? Like, if you know what you're doing, it feels great. And a game like Elden Ring, again, that is paced for you to be upgrading at all times, when you go back to those areas that you were like, wow, I really struggled here, and people hit you for 1 damage, and you just clean them up in 1 swing, you feel like a god.
I get the argument when it comes to people going, hey, I don't have a lot of time to get good, or I'm just not good at games at all, or just, I'm lacking something, like maybe they have difficulty with hand-eye coordination or something, or maybe they lost a hand or something. It could be any number of reasons. I get why they want to play a game and experience something that everyone else has experienced as well. But I don't think that there's an obligation to make that. Because, I'm not going to go to Nintendo and be like, hey, how come Animal Crossing isn't challenging? What the fuck? Again, don't go into Elden Ring expecting an experience that's going to be, easy peasy, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for Animal Crossing expecting to be super fucking hard. But when it comes to, FromSoft games, you can get better. It's not impossible. You just have to... I'm gonna say the line, get good.
Yes.
It's totally possible. You just have to have the time and the dedication. It's the same with fighting games. You're not gonna just hop in and immediately be good, And sometimes games are made more okay, easy to learn, hard to master. If that's more your speed, that's more your speed. But speaking personally for myself, I realized recently actually that every time a new Animal Crossing game comes out, I buy it. I have fun for a bit. And then I get bored. I go, why can't I ever stick to an Animal Crossing game? It's not why I play games.
Yes.
Right? I play to not do the same things that I do in real life, doing chores and shit. I play to escape real life, do fantasy shit.
And shoot motherfuckers.
Exactly, and take my samurai sword and stick it up someone's ass and whatnot.
Oh, whoops, did I get you through the armpit and the skull? Sekiro.
Yeah, the whole thing about FromSoft games and games of that nature is oh, wow, that fucking sucked. I got my ass beat. I got better now. I beat it. Ooh. Orgasm.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Satisfaction.
It feels good to accomplish things, not just have something handed to you. Now, if you want to play those games, great. There's plenty of games like that. Just don't force or, demand that certain games should be the way that you want to play. Now, when you look at The Last of Us Part 2, right? And the accessibility, that's amazing, frankly.
Yeah.
You can make it so that you just always stealthed when you're prone.
Yeah.
You can make it so that, important items are shining. You can make it so that, the environment is just literally, a testing zone, a beta. You can basically make it so that anyone and their mom, and probably their baby, can beat the game if you just came for the story. But those games do that. They wanted to put that in, respected. Games are art at this point.
Yep,
you know,
absolutely.
respect the art. You're not gonna go in and be like, I don't like how Banksy did that. Like, fuck you.
Well, what I want to say there, to add on to what you're saying about how it comes down to what the developer wants you to experience, and you were absolutely hitting it on the head when it comes down to, hey, if you don't have the time to play this, maybe this isn't the game for you. Yeah. And guess what? We are in a totally different world than we were a decade ago with gaming. And even a decade ago, the fruits of what we have available to us now were growing. We have Let's Players that have played through all these games with tons of different playthroughs. You can find someone who does a strength, magic, faith, no-hit, it's shield only. There are tons of options for you to experience this video game without you having to play the video game. If you don't feel like you have the technical skill to play the game, then it's just not for you. Sekiro, for example, people were given that Game of the Year because it deserved it. It was an incredible game. But that game, if you've played it, you know just as much as anyone else who has, it's hard as shit. You will break a controller trying to play through that game. And that is why some people don't go through all that. Some people will just watch a video to hear the lore and the story that they were telling.
Exactly.
But then, we just have those things available to us. And if you're playing a game like Why Can't I Beat This Boss? You have tons of tutorials available to you to find the ways around it. And if you don't want to put that time into the game, watch someone else do it.
That's on you. And I know people are like, oh, well, everyone else is doing the same thing. They're experiencing something. I want to experience it too.
It's your fault for having FOMO, bitch.
Yeah. It just doesn't work out. You're not going to all have the same exact experience, especially not with Elden Ring, like you said before. Because, I snuck past the guy on the fucking horse immediately and then went back and went, let's just, I know he's going to kick my ass, but how bad will the ass kicking be? Spoilers, it was really bad.
Oh yeah, every time.
Then I kind of just went in random directions. I went south immediately, and I'm just having a good time. Now, if you want to have a good time and play a game that's like that, then just go out and try and find those games that do that give you that easy mode or just aren't as hard. Because, I'm sorry, you're barking up the wrong tree.
You are.
It's
Absolutely.
FromSoft. What do you want?
And then people who complain about the messaging system being so trolly just do not understand the kind of game you're in. For example, when I got Maggie to play the game for an hour, I was playing it on my own, and I look over at her, and she's platforming on the edge of this cliff, and I'm like, what are you doing? And she goes, it said item ahead. And I was like, let me tell you, you're gonna get trolled. Not everything is telling the truth.
That's how you learn.
Exactly.
That's how you learn.
And that is when you truly understand what options are available to you, and you realize I can be the item ahead asshole here. Yeah. You get the joke. You get that experience, and you get that satisfaction of, damn, I got. Hopefully, I'll get this person.
And I love the finger but hole or
crab pickle,
crab ahead. Therefore, treat with care, kind of shit. The community is just having fun with each other, and you know what? Like I said, I'm not going to Animal Crossing to get a DMC style fucking gameplay.
SSS 50k combo.
You realize you're burnt out from JRPGs because they have a slow burn with the whole story and whatnot. Therefore, you don't play it. Versus someone who's I really want to play this game that really doesn't fit me. It's like you're trying to put on a shoe. It's like Cinderella. All those people trying to put on the glass slipper and their feet just don't fit. I'm sorry, but that's just not how it's gonna work. Now you can force that bitch in there if you really have the dedication.
That reminds me of that TikTok video of the woman watching a guy putting a bunch of shapes into a container, and he keeps putting every shape that he has into the same hole instead of the hole that it's designated for. That's what people want video games to be. But there's a reason we have genres, guys.
Exactly. If you want to just chill, have minimal effort. And then story, how about a walking simulator?
Yeah, that's why people get real pissed when you hear that your horror game is being adjusted for wider audiences. No, stop. I want to be scared, not them.
Exactly. No, it's just, I'm the target demo. Stop it. I want to have a good time.
It always baffles me when game developers just decide to stop caring for their main demographic. Hey, you guys liked how much money you made on the last one. Just take that money again.
Now, if you want to if game designers put shit in there where they're okay, we got easy mode, we got normal mode, we got hard mode, we got super hard mode, go right ahead. There's a right and wrong way to do it. I agree with the fact that, everyone says, the bad way to do it is to just make the people beefier. They just have more health, and therefore it just takes a little bit longer, but it's not really hard. You're doing the same shit. It's just more.
And I really don't like bullet sponge enemies in a lot of games. Like, for example, I don't play a lot of looter shooters. I'm a shooter guy. I love my shooter games, but I just do not enjoy looter shooters because I get really annoyed with bullet sponges. But it's funny I say that because I look back at my Resistance games that I just keep talking about wanting to make a review for, and some of the enemies are really bullet spongy if you're using the wrong gun on them. And that's what I like about a shooter that's well designed for that, is if you have options to take out those spongy guys, then it feels like I'm solving a puzzle while getting through this. Right. But if the solution to the puzzle is I find a box where the pathing of the bad guy isn't close enough to me, and I can just lean out and I have to go through 700 rounds for him to drop, I'm bored.
Exactly. You're just kind of doing the same thing for like 5 minutes, and then you're like, yay, you beat it. This really wasn't that much different from normal mode. It took like 7 minutes longer.
Yeah, that's not good game design.
Boring. That being said, I did enjoy Borderlands a lot. So
I've not played a Borderlands game for a minute. My last looter shooter I tried that I instantly was disgusted by after I beat it was Destiny 2. And I played Destiny 2 because of the hype. Everyone was talking about how good it was going to be.
Yeah,
they were hyping up a new campaign, and I was like, you know what? I will give it a shot. Then I beat the campaign, and I went, took that out of my Xbox immediately.
I'm so sorry that you fell for the hype. It happens.
Thankfully, I didn't buy it. My gorgeous girlfriend bought it for me. She thought I would want to hang out with the homies and play it. And I said, I love you for this, but I am so sorry. This game is ass.
That was considerate. And you know what? Once again, that just wasn't your flavor of game that you wanted to.
But I want it to be, bro. I want Bungie to release a game I enjoy again. Because Halo Reach, I will stand by that game being a masterpiece.
Well, maybe this is why those people are like this, because they're like, I want to like this. I just suck. And I don't have the time or the ability to get better.
Yeah.
Now, in that, I say for most people, I'm not going to say everybody, for most people, I feel like it's not a priority, Because you're not going to sit here and tell me that you can't get good at like a FromSoft game when you have a motherfucker like Broly Legs out there in fighting circuit, like playing like top tier motherfuckers. All right, if you don't know who Broly Legs is, I want you to like pause the video right now and go look him up.
Isn't Broly Legs the guy who's playing with his mouth?
Yes.
Yeah, that's impressive as hell.
His limbs are not formed correctly, so he plays arcade fighters with an arcade stick with his mouth. All right. I don't want to hear you bitching. You can make it happen if you put the work in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why anytime I see these arguments for like easy modes in games that were not designed for an easy mode, you just don't get it. And it's even funnier because the last thing I'm going to add into this is I set myself up to like games that beat my ass over and over, and then get that satisfaction of, holy shit, I finally did it. And you know where I started with that? Mega Man Zero, baby! The Dark Souls of Mega Man games!
Maybe that's it. Maybe we cracked it. Maybe we're just masochists.
Yeah,
we are. And other people who want to enjoy it are not masochists.
And they're wrong.
Yeah, I mean... You hear that?
You're wrong.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's Flavorcast. Thanks so much for listening. And hope you have a wonderful day or night or whenever it is that you're listening to this. Hopefully, as of right now that we're recording, the actual podcast will come out at a time that isn't like maybe 2 months afterwards. So that what we're talking about will be relevant.
Hey, content's hard.
It is hard. Oh, I just don't have the time.
Don't look at me, bitch.
Yeah. I guess I'll just make the time. All right, I'll get good.
I'm just gonna go play Apex.
Well, you know what to do. Please consider subscribing. Hit that like button. Be sure to toggle the bell because YouTube is like that. Leave a like or dislike. I don't know. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. Leave a comment.
Leave a dislike. Won't see that shit.
Exactly. Not even on my radar, bro. Just making these stacks. Just kidding. We do this for free.
What's a stack?
I'm getting the bread.
Stack of games?
Stack of games.
I got plenty of those.
All right. But we're going to leave you on that. And have a good one.
Be safe.
Delicious.